Hey everyone, this is Cameron Ward, the co host and editor of Renegade Animation on renegadepopculture.com. If you like what we do, please give us a like, a follow, and a rating on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to us. We are where podcasts can be found. If you can, consider supporting our Patreon. That way we can keep doing what we love, and that's talking about the amazing world of animation as film and just animation in general. And now, on with the show.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be the host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru himself, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And we've got Bree.
Hola!
And this episode is basically going to be focused on animation is film. For those who don't know, this is the animation festival that Cameron goes to pretty much every year, I guess the second to last week of October.
Yeah, it's an animation festival that was founded by Variety, Annecy, and G Kids that has been going on since 2017. And it's basically the best version of We Have Annecy at Home. But Annecy at Home takes place in LA, Hollywood. So, and I've been going to this festival and I've been talking about it since 2018. And of course, obviously, I didn't go in 2020 because where was anyone going in 2020? And I was going to go in 2021, but then a new variation of everyone's favorite disease to ignore now popped up. I decided I'm not going to risk it. I've been going 6 out of the 8 years that this festival has been going on. And understandably, traveling to Hollywood is expensive. These tickets are expensive. At the very least, $20 if you're an adult. But if you are an animation fan, you consider yourself a connoisseur of animation, you really, really have to go to this festival because they show about 10 to 12 animated movies of the highest quality of the year so far, along with filmmaker panels, previews of upcoming movies, and whatever else, like including like free screenings of either shorts, TV shows, whatever. And it's been my favorite thing to go to through a lot of my time writing about animation. It makes me feel like I am part of a group of people that cherish and actually like animation, unlike a lot of people on animation Twitter or animation YouTubers or just like animation fans online in general.
Like fans in big giant air quotes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's so fitting that after the last day of just seeing nothing but amazing art, I open up Twitter and the first thing I see is someone who does not understand how storyboards work. Oh god, some of y'all are really uneducated and unfamiliar and like just words to the wise. If you are going to talk about animation on Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever, if a bunch of professional animators are telling you that you are wrong, you do not dig the hole deeper.
No.
Especially when you're potentially looking to work in the industry. That is the most surefire way to get yourself blacklisted. But you know what? One of my favorite responses was someone just posted Ryan Johnson's storyboard from Knives Out.
Someone basically poked fun at that tweet by saying like, man, why are my pre-production pancakes looking terrible? And it's just the mixing bowl of pancake mix, milk, and flour and eggs and such. Yeah, storyboards aren't meant to look like the final product. They're meant to get the emotion across of
Right.
what you want to do for the scene. But anyway, we're not here to talk about stupid
All right.
people. We're
Well,
not there. We're not there at that episode yet.
We're getting there, but I do have to say one thing before we go on. Like, honestly, my biggest thing about like storyboard, let's just call it drama, and this is like my hot take. My issues with storyboards is that I think a lot of them are too polished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I think that is fair, and it doesn't help when some people like go a little. I mean, they're doing their job amazingly well. Like all of this started because of some storyboards around the Super Mario movie from 2023, and it's like, oh, they look like some kind of Disney show, and it's like, yeah, because the person who made them worked on Gravity Falls and Amphibia. Gee, I wonder how their style of working on those shows got into these storyboards.
Which and for that, specifically when you're going to 3D, I even also looked up, like, some storyboards from, like, Frozen. Usually, like, in that early with development, like, rarely are the final character models and everything finalized, so it's like, okay, if you have a certain style that you can do really quick and it's super readable, then just do it in that style. Like, literally, it doesn't matter. It can be stick figures. It does not matter. Like, any idiot, like, look at Frozen storyboards, and that's Disney. That is quote unquote the polished look. Or better yet, go look up Arcane storyboards. Because I will guarantee you they look nothing like the final product.
Hell, look up the book of the storyboards for Parasite, and they are chicken scratch. But you understand what they're going for. So it's just like this is why I love going to animation as film, because most of the people there and most of the people I talk to there are either animators or people who actually take the medium seriously and aren't just posting stupid takes on Twitter and such.
Before we get into the movies that you saw, I kind of want to know, besides just screenings, what else is there to do at the festival?
So, like, I'll use this festival as a foundation. What they do, like, the base foundation of the festival is they have 10 films in competition. Unlike a lot of film festivals, like the Cannes Film Festival and every other one, where they have like 20 to 30 movies playing at any given time, and about half of them are of questionable quality because, yes, even bad movies that we don't know are bad or that we don't subjectively like end up at prestigious film festivals. Then there are usually special screenings. Like one year they had Prince of Egypt playing, or like 2018 they had Mamoru Hosoda's movies like Wolf Children, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, The Boy and the Beast, and so on playing, because that year was when Mamoru Hosoda released Mirai. This year they had the remastered in 3D release of Paranorman alongside the screening of the new short that will be playing in front of the re-releases called The Thrifting. And it's like I said, it's a CGI short. And I'll talk more about it when I make my quick little thoughts on Paranorman. But they also had like a behind the scenes or a work in progress preview screening of Zootopia 2. And they had two different film panels. One for Pretty Pretty Please, I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, and one for K-pop Demon Hunters. And they had special screening of the new Chainsaw Man movie that comes out this week. And that's pretty much it. They'll have like maybe some free screenings, like they had a little Bluey screenings on the big screen, which I'm sure was a lot of fun for the kids that wanted to go see, because a lot of the people who come here have families. The filmmakers, I mean. Like the I Am Frank Kelda and the Little Amelie directors had their families there. And like, yeah, it's cool that they have families there. Their kids cannot watch half of the stuff that shows at these festivals sometimes.
Yeah,
So
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine, yeah. Because a
Don't
lot
take-
of yeah,
don't
because
take
a
your
lot of that stuff
5-year-old.
is a hard R.
like, don't take your 5-year-old to see Chainsaw Man,
No.
the movie Reze Arc. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
yeah,
no,
that would
no.
terrify them, maybe make them curious, and then be like, huh, there's some nudity in this movie. Why are they naked, mom and dad? It's like, oh god. So I also did a lot of press stuff, which means I was in a red carpet area. And near the end, where I was with YouTubers and a few influencers, like we were on one side while the other side had like publications and stuff, taking photos and doing interviews and such. I interviewed 4 different people, like groups. One of them, because it was the opening night movie, Scarlet, I got to interview Mamoru Hosoda himself. One of my icons in filmmaking was literally 2 feet in front of me while I held a tiny little microphone for him to talk into and then hand over to his translator.
That is incredible, dude.
I watched that and honestly could not be prouder.
I was not as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I was extremely professional because that's what you do there. You are not there to be a gushing, nerdy fanboy. You are there to ask them legit film questions, which I am so glad that a lot of people had good questions, and or when they did the filmmaker Q&As, they had someone from a publication come out to talk to the filmmakers about the films in questions, because a lot of times, even though it's like that Robot Chicken skit. Remember, kids, there are no stupid questions. And then a kid raises his hand, except for Billy's questions. so, so yeah, there are actually dumb questions to be asked at a Q&A. So, and it's funny, if you actually look at the Blu-rays for Morona's Fantastic Tale and Whitesnake, both from G Kids, by the way, you can actually see me at the Q&A for both of those movies, and my questions were answered and such. So I'm on freaking Blu-ray, baby.
Nice.
And depending on how the marketing is used, you might see me in fan reactions to Chainsaw Man. So holding my little Pochita plush, which we got a free Pochita plush at the screening. Sony is taking this very seriously. So by the time this comes out, if you are going to go see Chainsaw Man, you better show up for it, which I'm sure they will, but you know how anime fans can be. So,
Well, I'll say this. At the end of this episode, because we are deep into award season, I figured by the end we will have at least a better idea of what our best animated feature lineup will look like. But before we get there, let's work backwards to your first day there.
so my first day there was, well, Friday. Like I said, that was the day I got to talk to Mamoru Hosoda. Got to take a photo with him too. Nicest guy. And he was very happy about my question because he gave me a very long answer. The filmmakers, again, really love when you give them legit questions to ask about the movie and not
And not shipping questions.
yeah, not shipping questions, not who can beat who in a fight in your movies. And it's just like, dude, nobody cares. Yeah, please touch grass. It's like those bad like questions you see in professional press outings where they're
Oh god. Yeah.
like God, like be professional. Like I get it. You want to get some clicks and views, wow.
I know.
But come on, show some
Professionalism is becoming like a unicorn. It's rare and rarer every year.
Unfortunately, yeah.
funny enough, I was watching the Puss in Boots: The Last Wish on the plane ride home, and all I can think about hearing unicorn is, are those unicorn horns? Baby unicorn horns. Half as heavy and twice as sharp. Oh, God, that movie is so good. Which, by the way, they had a preview screening for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in 2022, so, which was amazing. The first movie I saw there that night was Scarlet, Mamoru Hosoda's new fantasy epic, which is about a princess who is stuck in a purgatory land called, like if I recall, the land of the in-between, where she is set out to get revenge on her uncle who killed his brother who was her father. Loosely based around Hamlet, which is funny because this is the second time in a row where Mamoru Hosoda has based a movie tangentially around something that Disney has also done. Not saying he's chasing that trend or anything. It's just funny that Belle was a play on Beauty and the Beast, and now he has his own kind of Lion King like thing because Lion King was based on Hamlet. So
Yeah, makes sense.
now Going in, I was thinking this was going to be my favorite movie. Nothing was going to top it. I love Mamoru Hosoda. His films have been in my top 10, or at the very least, number one spot multiple times. And I also did not see a bad movie among the films I saw. Like, not including the special screening of Chainsaw Man or the re-release of Paranorman. At the very weakest, these films were, if I had to put a artificial grade on them, a 4 out of 5. Like, it was either a 4 out of 5 or a 5 out of 5 for me. And funny enough, I really liked Scarlet. I thought it was a very good movie about the thematic elements of life and death, revenge, and wanting to live in a world, a better version of the world that they live in now. That was a huge thematic element in a lot of the movies this year. Everyone was really depressed, like 3 or 4 years ago when these were greenlit, and they wanted to make a movie where the main goal was let's fight for a better world. And let's
Oh, and it
push that.
turned out to be so topical. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And I will say, it is not my favorite Hosoda film, but I very much did love it. It has great CGI, a lot of fun action. Scarlet was great. They brought back the same character designer from Belle, so obviously Scarlet's that pink-haired woman.
Yeah, he was the former designer for Disney and who also did design work on Frozen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, same guy. And you can tell he really loves that person. So they brought him back. A lot of people were assuming that this was going to be a full on CGI film. It is not. It does use a lot of CGI, but there's still a lot of moments where it has 2D animation in it. And he said he didn't really want to do one or the other, so he combined both. And there are some moments where the CGI looks a little clunky, and I get it. Not every studio can be Mappa or Studio Orange or Studio Wit in terms of CGI quality. I think they needed just a little more polishing at some points, but the CGI overall looks great. Just the environments of like the land of in between is barren, and there are like multiple different cultures and races of people living there. I did think the male lead, who was a medic from the modern day, was a bit more interesting. I mean, the goal of the character was done, accomplished, but he just was like the weakest of the two lead characters. I think Hosoda prefers to write female protagonists, which is not a bad thing. That's not a criticism. If you take it as a criticism, you're the one being weird. It's just an observation that he seems to have more of an interest with female characters.
Honestly, we need more like female or non-guy characters in general, and I get why a guy like Mamoru Hoshida would be more interested in like female characters from not only like a cultural perspective, but women just in general have more potential for drama and are like interesting to get, stories out of, because I feel like since, if you're a guy trying to write a woman, you have to kind of focus more and do a little bit more like introspection.
Yep.
It was just like a few clunky moments, and like I wish they had a little more time to bond romantically. At first, I was thinking it wasn't going to be a romantic thing, but it turned into a romantic thing, and I was like, okay, like that's the weakest part of the movie, but the point and the goal was still made and such. So I will have thoughts about its award potential near the end. The other movie that played that night that I couldn't see because it was playing like in the middle of Scarlet was Lesbian Space Princess, which I've heard nothing but great things about, but could not see it. But at the end of the last day of the festival, I did get a screener for it, so we're going to talk about it next time.
Hell yeah.
I
I have
am very
been
excited
so
for
hyped
that.
for this ever since I saw the first trailer. I'm like, fuck yeah, Cameron. Fuck yeah, get the screener.
Yeah. And it was out of nowhere too, so I was very happy about that. So the second day, was when I saw 5 movies in one day. It was like a nonstop, like, rotation
Holy
of,
crap.
like, basically, I went into the same movie theater 5 different times. So, I think I only went into a different one for the last movie.
So what did you just basically rotate, like, go to the bathroom and just come back? Just basically do that one scene from The Simpsons where Grandpop Simpsons or whatever just grabs his hat, goes out the door, and comes back in?
Yeah, pretty much that, because it was the same theater. It just so happened to be the same theater every single time I went in there.
Did you sit in the same seat each time?
No, not every time, but I try to. Like, there are some areas in the theater where they have reserved seating for either important executives or people in the industry or the jury council that are going to decide what movies are going to win the 3 major awards. And the first film I saw was Chow, the upcoming romantic comedy from that G Kids is bringing over from Studio 4C, which is about a man named Steven living in a hyper realized Shanghai where he accidentally gets involved with a mermaid princess and she falls for him and romantic comedy shenanigans ensue. But it was one of my favorite movies at the festival. Like, one of the 5 out of 5 films, like, stars I gave.
I mean, the trailer looked fantastic. So
And
to
it's
hear
Studio
that it
4C,
lives up.
because
Oh yeah, well, 4C's amazing.
yeah,
The movie took 7 years to make. So, they didn't specify exactly how much of that was animating it, but considering when you watch the trailer and the weird designs that everyone has, like, there are some people who have giant heads. The CEO of the company Steven works for is basically a round ball. And then there's like a large baby walking around. Don't ask why. Shut up. It doesn't matter. It is also one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And it is full of dialogue gags, physical gags, just visual gags. There are moments where it's like one gag starts and stops, but then later on, at the very, like, near the very end, that gag that you thought was over comes back. And it was delightful. And it's also a very sweet movie. The romance between our 2 leads is adorable. The Chow, our mermaid princess, is so cute and has an iconic design of the fact that until she trusts you, she stays in her, like, fish form, which is basically a large koi fish. And she wears these big yellow rain boots on her tail fin. And it is such a charming design. It is so full of whimsy and creativity. And the character designer was there at the festival, and I got to talk to him. And he said a lot of the inspiration for the designs of the characters was based on Dr. Slump, which is the Akira Toriyama gag comedy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there was something, like, kinda Dragon Ball-esque, so it's kinda nice to confirm that that wasn't my imagination.
Yeah, it's exactly what you like. If you think about it, it was there. And to be clear, because we've had to deal with this a lot, especially in Japanese animation, he was not thinking about Ponyo or Lu Over the Wall or Bubble when making this movie. He was just, it's like, it never crossed his mind that there were other Little Mermaid ish stories that got made previously. Like, hell, Lu Over the Wall by Masaki Yuasa was supposed to be about vampires, and then somewhere in the development it turned into mermaids, but they kept the vampire elements into the mermaids. So
interesting.
I mean, those are basically sirens, so, I mean, technically, that's not wrong.
no. Like I said, we'll have to do like a Yuasa retrospective on the podcast and watch all of his
Oh, yeah.
movies. We'll probably do that next year because he has a new movie coming out next year. So
Nice.
I will say I did miss the first few minutes because I had to do the Q&A thing outside with the lead character designer, but I didn't really miss much. And it became one of my favorite movies of the year. Just a real gem that I think they're probably going to set out for next year. But I just freaking loved Chow. I was so enraptured by its comedy, the fact that a lot of the film was inspired by Hong Kong action comedies, and just how creative and unbound it was in the medium of storytelling and animation. Like, we'll have more to talk about when we talk about this movie in the future, but I loved it. Just put it on your radar, man.
I just want your quick opinion. Do you think G-Kid is going to release it in 2025 at all? Or are they going to push it to like first quarter 2026?
I'm going to assume, depending on the reception, and who knows, they might be working on a dub for it as we speak. I don't think they're going to push it for 2025. Only because if I had to take a wild guess, and we'll get to this movie later, they're going to push Little Amelie as their big awards film. Not that Chow has no chance, that's ridiculous. It won the audience award at the Annecy Film Festival and has been getting universal praise throughout a lot of its festival run. It's a big crowd pleaser. It's not going to be alienating or like, oh, whoops, buyer's remorse. Like, which is kind of what it sounds like Sony Pictures Classics has with the new Sylvain Chomet film. But we don't know about how that movie is until we actually see it. It's just depending on how you look at it, they're not really pushing Sylvain Chomet's new movie. So,
That's unfortunate.
I mean,
but yeah,
but I'll say this. Not everything is a conspiracy. It's just signs of things that may or may not be happening behind the scenes. Because before I got to the festival, I did watch The Twits, which we will talk about in another podcast, because they had a preview screening for it on the 13th, a few days before the actual festival. And let's just say that I think Netflix is not going to push The Twits at all. It's cool that they decided to give it its own thing, but it's a fine movie. It's just whatever. It's not funny enough to outdo the sluggish pacing of that movie. And it's not crass and mean-spirited enough to elevate the really just middling comedy. And outside of some amazing performances, there's not much there. And there's a reason why Netflix is going to go all in on K-pop Demon Hunters. Like,
oh yeah, no, it's absolutely no question. But the one thing that's curious, the director's Rich Moore, right?
let's see here.
Because I know one of the directors said he tried to push it at Disney, and they said it was too mean spirited, which
Phil
gets me
Johnson.
morbidly curious about what that version potentially would have been like. But it's kind of interesting that a lot of our suspicions are kind of being confirmed, especially the last time we were talking about like the algorithm and stuff and how Netflix picks, and I don't want to sound mean, but quote unquote winners and losers. And, maybe spending $600 million to buy the company that Roald Dahl films historically have not done well.
No.
And I don't think enough people are talking about that.
That's the thing, because... And also, like, nothing against Phil Johnston, and who knows what happened during the production of The Twits. He was the writer for Wreck-It Ralph, the writer for Zootopia, and the director and writer for Ralph Breaks the Internet. And, I'm wondering what happened with The Twits. And apparently he was the voice of the caretaker of the kids in the movie. Like, it's cool that it got a little time in the spotlight, but I think the fact that I can't find a lot of people talking about this movie is a sign of this movie's not going to do well. So, which is a bummer because like you spend 4 or so years at a studio that unfortunately shut down, I think after production wrapped up with the Twits,
Aw, that's unfortunate.
which was like we said, Jellyfish Pictures and such. So, but anyway, I think Chow could, like, if they wanted to, they could push it for a December release because next month in November they have Little Amelie. If they wanted to give it an award season push, they would have to either do December or just take it into 2026 because otherwise, I don't know if they want anything bumping up against Little Amelie.
Yeah, I honestly, like, if I were them, I wouldn't chance it because then you can, pull what Disney did years ago with like Enchanted and have like three songs from the movie nominated, and then it didn't end up getting anything, and it lost to Falling Slowly from Once. I think historically, studios have learned to be more selective with what they push because it's happened on multiple occasions where you just spread your resources too thin and then you wind up with nothing.
Right.
Mhm.
So then the next thing I saw was the Paranorman re-release in 3D that came with the new animated short, The Thrifting, which was, and listen, I don't want Leica to give up on their stop motion game. We saw even this little lovely tribute homage to Leica in its history with a little bit of a sneak peek of Wildwood, and the animation for it looks amazing. But if they had to make a CGI movie, they got it good because it looked great, it had some amazing animation, a wonderful painted art style, and while the short was only written by Chris Butler, it still had a lot of the charm of the movie in it. So, and by the way, Anna Kendrick was there with Chris Butler.
Oh, nice.
So I did get to see her, not like shake hands or anything. I couldn't get there in time to do the Q&A part with them. And I forgot how funny
Oh no,
and
it's one of the
witty.
funniest like animated movies. Like the comedy is like so like it hits my special like weirdness spot. But like not to get too into that, but that's cool that Anna Kendrick still found the time to kind of like show up. This like little movie that she did. God, what is it? Close to like 12, like 14 years ago.
Let's see, 2012. So
Like 13 years.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because this was the 13th anniversary for Paranorman, which makes sense. But man, it is such a funny movie. Like, I love the comedy. The character dynamics are great. There's this scene, like the bully is probably one of the most underrated punchline deliveries of the cast because, like, when they're getting chased by the zombies at the beginning, like he and Norman and such, and he closes the door in Norman's uncle's house. It's like, oh my god, the zombie's going to eat our brains. Are we in danger? And Norman goes like, no, I think you're going to be okay. And the bully goes like, oh, thank God. Wait. Or like when they're trying to get the zombie off of the heavyset kid's brother's van, and the two brothers are bickering at one another, and the younger one's just like, you gotta do something, like think of something. And he's like, I'm trying. You're the older brother. You're supposed to be mature. And the brother goes like, not mentally. And the punchline with the brother is still so effective.
Oh my god, that joke makes me laugh so hard to this day because it's built up the entire movie. Like, it is riding on it so hard. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna see my boyfriend.
So, you want to go see a movie or something later? Like a scary movie or something? And he's just like, like, sure, yeah. you'd really like my boyfriend. He is such a chick flick nut. And I mean,
I just
unfortunately, like,
so deflated. She's like,
it's like, God damn it. And like, there are like little lines here and there, like the police officer is so funny. She's like, all these kids zooming around in their vehicles. It's like killing the ozone layer. That's the problem these days. And she tosses like a 7-Eleven big gulp into the forest, like just littering. Or later when the town folks are run amok because of the zombies, she's like, no shoot, like do not shoot your guns at innocent civilians. That's the police's job. And it's like, it's a spicy script. Chris Butler is great, and it makes a lot of sense that he wrote and directed Missing Link, because that movie has the same kinetic comedic energy that Paranorman has. And
yeah, and Paranorman kind of getting like, I mean, it was love back then, but kind of getting like more love now just really reminds you that how many more family movies we kind of need to have like just a little bit of edge.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
like the movie is heart-wrenching and like sad, tragic. It hits all the notes. And I'm going, like, I know Shout Factory has re-released Paranorman, but I'm going to wait to see if they re-release it with the short, so I can buy that version, because it's so good. And I love the grandma. She's great. It's like, what's happening in the movie, Norman? Oh, the girl's getting her brains eaten out by the zombie. And she's just like, well, that's not very nice. The zombie's going to ruin its supper, its appetite. And like I said, or like the scene where they're trying to find the witch's burial ground, where they have the head zombie in the back seat with Anna Kendrick's character, the daughter, and Norman, and they start having like, brother sister bickering with the zombie. It's like, the zombie's on my side of the car. Tell him to move over. And the dad's just like, I swear to God, if you do not stop bickering back there, I will get all three of you to leave this car. and and like the zombie's just quiet and like sitting back there awkwardly, just like, go this way. And then like, it's a fun movie, and golly, Leica is so good at what they do, and nobody sees their movies.
That gets me sad
Yeah,
every time I think
know.
about it.
Like every time, like nothing but bangers.
This is gonna sound weird, but I really hope that Masters of the Universe is a success. Travis Knight and Chris Butler are both involved in that. I hope that just emboldens them
Right.
to keep doing more awesome things.
Right, but then they have to deal with the curse of Jared Leto.
Oh,
Oh,
fuck, I forgot about that.
Oh, God. Stop giving that guy work, Hollywood. Anyway, so the next movie I saw after that was All You Need Is Kill, which is based off of the graphic novel, which got turned into a manga that then became the foundation to the Tom Cruise sci-fi action movie Edge of Tomorrow, about a alien invasion, and our main character being a soldier, or in this adaptation, a volunteer worker to break apart this giant plant tree like entity that crash landed on Earth, accidentally kills one of the aliens, and yet dies herself, and then finds out that every time she dies, it goes back one day. And like to the same day over and over. So it's Groundhog's Day with sci-fi elements. And it's so funny. This is another film that's done by Studio 4C, and it looks amazing. And yet, one of the few comments I found that popped up when any of the trailers were shown were like, ugh, this girl is ugly looking. And it's like,
Excuse me?
this, oh, God, it's like, I made a joke about this in my personal Facebook groups, where it's like, wow, look at this cool, distinct visual art style for All You Need Is Kill. It looks like it has a lot of personality and appeal. And then, of course, the comments are like, she's not anime hot. So I pulled up the picture of Gaston, like looking at a book sideways. And I didn't make this, but the caption said I can't fap to this. And
Oh,
it's
God
like,
damn it.
yeah, so that's what these guys are doing. Like, that's all they care about with anime sometimes, is that if the characters are hot. And it's like, no, this is an appealing art style. These
And
are
you
appealing designs. And
and
God,
the irony is, it's like they're judging hot. I'm like, baby, you're maybe like a 3 at best. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yep.
well, it's always those people. Like, it's like that political comic where it's like every time there's one of those gotta keep the races pure people, it's always the worst of the human condition that say that. It's
Yeah, it's like, I don't think the gene pool was on your side.
like, I just ugh. But the movie was really good. It had great action, and it's another movie dealing with the concept of life and death and how you traverse it, because this movie puts more of a heavy emphasis on the notion of how do you go through life knowing that any moment or any time you could die. And like, do you cherish life or do you just think nothing matters? The thing that makes this adaptation different also is that it has another lead character who also can go back in time every time they die. So it's like, if one of the two dies, they both go back. Like,
Interesting.
this movie's come out in January, so I won't talk too much more about it. We'll talk about it then. I will say there are some clunky story elements that I wish got expanded upon more, and I think that it's because that there are two main characters, and it's not paced well at points because of that. But
How long is the movie?
and that's the other thing. It's like 82 minutes,
Oh.
so
Oh, that is breakneck. Holy crap.
it takes a lot of time to focus on the lead figuring out how to traverse this Groundhog's Day scenario and such. But it is very cool, like on a visual level, on a creative level. It's a lot of fun. If you want a surreal, vibrant version of Edge of Tomorrow and you don't want to watch Tom Cruise, you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for this one in January. It is amazing. But if I had to pick my favorite movie of that day alongside Chow, it would have been the movie I saw after All You Need Is Kill, which is the Ugo Bienvenu directed Annecy and Cannes award winning Arco. And this is the one that I've talked about in the past. It's the French sci-fi film where basically the pitch is, what if every time you saw a rainbow in the sky, it was someone traveling through time? Like, the stream of someone traversing from a different time period is what makes the rainbow and such. And if you look at the trailer from Neon, because Neon picked this up with like 500 other films at the Cannes Film Festival, like, people from the future wear these suits, and they, like, when they're flying around, that's when like the rainbows are made and such, and when they're traveling through time and what have you. And it's about a young boy who uses one of those suits to travel into the past, into a very different part of the future. And I won't give away too many details about this because I just think this is a wonderful movie. And it's another movie about wanting a better future in a world of that's in constant turmoil in one way or another, and hoping for things to change for the better and such. Even the director said, yeah, we weren't feeling great in 2020.
Understandably.
Gee, I wonder why.
And he just wanted to make a movie that felt like a warm hug. And man, you felt that. It's a charming movie. Now, this movie was dubbed, and I did see the dub version. So that means that there were celebrity voices attached to it. And it was like very cool to see and like actually hear the story about how they got the voice cast for it. Like this movie has like Natalie Portman, Will Ferrell, America Ferrera, Flea, Mark Ruffalo, and Andy Samberg in the English cast. And a lot of this was possibly because before even animation started, while he was crafting this movie, somehow, I forgot how, this movie got into the hands of Natalie Portman, who became an executive producer for the movie, and said,
Oh.
I'll give you whatever you need. Like, there was no, like, frustrating discourse or deal making. Like, this isn't a Weinstein situation. She said, I will give you whatever you need help with, and I can make sure that your artistic vision stays intact. Which I know it's going to sound like a cheap shorthand about how to describe this movie's vibe, but it's very French sci-fi mixed with Ghibli. Like, it's not even like Studio Ghibli adjacent. I think it's the furthest away from a French animated film trying to capture that Ghibli spirit. It's not uh oh gosh. There was a movie in 2016, April in the Extraordinary World. It was like a steampunk Ghibli French film mixed with like the art style of Tintin and such.
This kind of reminds me of a little bit of Scavenger's Reign, but not as grimy and sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, it
More,
feels more, where Scavenger's Reign is kind of more like the Star Wars sci-fi. This kind of feels more like Star Trekky.
kinda, yeah.
I would argue it's more in line with the sci-fi films from the 70s and 80s that French animation were making at the time. So a little more fantastic.
So
like
more like Flash Gordon-y?
Kind of like a little bit more Fantastic Planet and Time Masters.
Okay.
At least that's where I kind of got it. But it is funny that these three brothers who are played by Andy Samberg, Will Ferrell, and Flea. And yes, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Also an accomplished voice actor.
It's just funny because hearing about the production side of it, it's like, how did Flea join this? And he was just like, yeah, my wife's a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. So.
And then you remember, oh, right, Flea's also a voice actor.
Yeah. But, like, funny enough, Will Ferrell and Andy Samberg were great off of Flea. And it's like some of their best voice performances ever. Like, Andy Samberg apparently put in a lot of energy into it. Like, the only ones I would say are, like, whatever or fine are, like, Mark Ruffalo and America Ferrera. But the two who play the kid, Giuliano Valdi and Romy Faye, are wonderful. And sometimes, you have to remind yourself that the hype a film gets during festivals is going to be an entirely different audience hype than what you get in a wide release. Where, and I hate using the term normies, but that's really, there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, no,
But
I hear what you're saying.
because it sounds so dismissive, but it's like when more casual film goers get their hands on well, I heard good things about this, and then they leave the theater being like, what the hell was that? And yet, with this one, this is one of those movies that really is worth the hype. I think this is absolutely going to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. It could win depending on it could win. It has to go against the Mount Everest of K-pop Demon Hunters, but it
Yeah,
could
because I
win.
mean, at this point, like, the award is K-pop Demon Hunters to lose unless something super drastic happens.
The reason why I think Arco is probably the most competitive is because of Natalie Portman. I think her working with the team at Neon, they're gonna give this movie the push that it clearly deserves.
Oh yeah, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Golden Globes, that they do that split thing that usually happens where it upsets and wins the Golden Globe, but K-pop wins the Oscar.
What about the Annies?
Well, Arco was also like a big winner at Annecy's, so we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, just a very genuinely sweet, loving movie that like I said, is more akin to 80s French sci-fi animation than anything like modern or adjacent to like Ghibli and such.
Yeah, it's more of a love letter to French animation than just something that's like anime adjacent.
I say the Ghibli correlation because of how the brothers act and just their movements and such. A lot of the character dynamics feel very like Studio Ghibli in a way. When we finally get to talk about this movie next month, you will fully understand what I mean by that. So after 4 movies in a row, I got one more, which is the Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc, which it was funny. I was walking into it being like, man, they're not really giving out posters or anything this year. Like outside of the main animation as film poster. I was wondering if like, are we going to get any movie adjacent swag? Because I feel like that's one of the few things that animation as film fails to do at times, unless it's like Netflix showing up.
Oh yeah, no, Netflix, they always have good shit.
But as I was walking into the theater, a Sony representative was like, "Do you want a Pochita plush?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, how do you
It's
say no to that?
Pochita! Like, yes! And it's a real one, not one of the bootleg ones.
Yeah, and there was a guy who I hope got paid $100 million to be in that giant sweaty Pochita suit because I'm sure that thing was not easy to maneuver around. It's one of those like Japanese mascot suit
Oh
styles.
god!
So
Yeah, and I'm just imagining him just like waddling around. Oh
yeah,
Jesus.
it's like, but everyone was super hyped. This was one of those super sold out screenings alongside All You Need Is Kill. And I will say, like, here, if you want me to stir the pot in terms of anime franchise films this year, I think Chainsaw Man Reze arc is a better one than Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, which I know is
That
like,
honestly doesn't shock me.
Me
it's be,
neither.
it's made as a movie, it's paced as a movie, it's not set up like Infinity Castle Part 1, where it's very obviously feels like it's going to get cut into episodes down the line. It's just so much fun. I will say it is funny that an anime movie still decides to open up with a very anime TV show opening. You know, like how like you're watching a show, it plays like a little clip, and then it cuts to the opening, and then it cuts back to the show and such.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. They have a little bit of an opening, and then they have or like a little clip of
Yeah,
story.
that's the Kenshi Yonezu opening, right?
Yeah. And it's great. It's wonderful. It's on YouTube for free. You can watch that part.
Yeah, watched it, so that's why I kind of knew what you were talking about.
It's not like a criticism of it. It's just funny because I remember when this was going on because I think it started with Your Name doing it. It's like some studios are like, yeah, let's just have an anime opening in our movie. And it's
Well,
like,
I kind of feel like the other purpose for it, in the context of seeing this, is Chainsaw Man's been off the air like close to what, 3 years now?
yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so I think that's just another way instead of like, oh, here's a recap, just do it through like visual storytelling in like a couple of minutes to say, okay, let's just catch you up on everything that's happened in Chainsaw Man.
like they didn't do like a recap of the first season or anything. This just cuts into,
Yeah, it cuts into it, but I think it's like if you know like the manga and the anime, I think you can put one and one together.
yeah. And I will say, just like for now, it continues a really compelling story about like because at first I was like, yeah, Chainsaw Man is just another supernatural, violent, actiony anime that came in the like around the same time or maybe before or a little bit after Jujutsu Kaisen appeared. But it's much more than that. It's about a young man who he had a rough, terrible like life basically like born on the streets, kind of struggling to survive. And all he wants is like friends, a home, and like people to love him. And possibly a girlfriend, which unfortunately happens to be his boss, who is constantly gaslighting and emotionally manipulating him because she wants the chainsaw in our lead's heart, but not actually him. So it's like it's really tragic, and you think like, oh, in this movie he meets this other woman who shows so much affection towards him and is so sweet with him, and yet she's doing the exact same thing. And yet she's malicious about it because she's part of a villain group that is mentioned in the movie and in the first season, but is like she's the main focus. She's the main villain of the movie. She is the bomb fiend. And golly, she's such a great character. Just
Well, wait,
so
wouldn't she be like, because she's a hybrid, so wouldn't she be like the bomb devil? Because
oh yeah,
she's
the
still
devil.
alive?
Yes, it's a subtitle thing. Despite having a dub, we watched this one subtitled, and they say like bomb fiend a lot. So, but yeah, it's mostly devil. And I will say, like, while our main character is delightful and how like simple-minded he is, but I don't mean that as like an insult. I mean, yes, he is not the most educated person, but there's like this great emotional logic and intelligence to him that makes him appealing, even if half the time he's like fairly horny and doesn't exactly know how to explore that side of him. Like his struggle with like, oh, I want to still be loyal to my boss, but this other lady is so cute and such. Like there are some great funny moments dealing with that struggle of his. The violence devil makes an appearance in this movie, and he doesn't show up and do a lot, but he has a great joke in there, like when they're fighting the bomb devil and such. And it is great. It is probably one of the loudest crowd reactions that I've had at the festival. I won't say much more because we're going to talk about that in this movie in the next episode.
Which I am very excited for.
I will say, I wish that this movie had a dub because for like a few seconds, I dozed off a little, but it was also because I was there all day watching movies. I was tired. So,
I will be seeing the dub next week.
but I will say, I will live and die for the Shark Devil. He is the best boy. He is a good boy. He means no harm. He just thinks Dingy is super duper cool. I will die for him. So the next day, which was the final day, I only saw 2 movies, but I did some Q&A with the 2 directors and the producer of I Am Frankelda, which is based off of the show that you can find on HBO Max. But what's more interesting to me, and what should be more interesting to a lot of people, is that I Am Frankelda is the first stop motion animated film from Mexico.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Like the first, not like in a while, the first. And I talked with them about it, and it was like a struggle to get this greenlit because, from what I could tell from their words, that Mexico doesn't have a strong support for the arts, kind of like America. Because, like, you go to Europe, or you go to Australia, or even Canada, they have art funds and art bonds. Again, that's how Glitch was able to do what it does and such as a company. And like that's why so many European animated films and just films from around the world in general have like 15 different logos before the movie actually starts. And it was just really fun to talk with them about the movie, and I can't wait to see it. And then I went and with co-host of the anime podcast, Teresa, to the Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl panel where they played the animatic pilot on the big screen, which that was a great time to watch that pilot on a giant theatrical screen. And the jokes they hit just as hard as they did back when I watched when Mike and I watched and talked about the pilots. And the creator was there, the editor, and the voice actor for the main lead and the little star character were there as well. And they talked about the production side and how this was meant to originally just be a one-off, one and done kind of deal. And then it got super freaking popular. And just to confirm, they're making a second episode.
Hell
And
yeah.
we got to see a little bit of the animatic second episode for that. And something that I like is they're still going through with the animatic side of things.
Yes,
So,
please. Thank you, Kiana, for normalizing that.
and it still was super funny. Like, I don't know why people think, oh, we got to make these fully animated. No, you don't. I interviewed them. I said, like, are there any like misconceptions about indie animation or things that you'd like to talk about or tell people to say like, hey, you don't need to do this? And by the way, she loved my question. She told me after I thanked her again for the interview and such that I had great questions. So I'm going to brag about that because some animation YouTubers when they're interviewing people don't quite know how to ask good questions. Or just animation fans in general don't know how to do it. I take my job very seriously when it comes to interviews with filmmakers. So, and she talked about like, yeah, you don't need to make a fully animated indie pilot to be successful. You can just do this. There are so many pilots out there that are just animatics that were very popular. We just need to stop with this notion that everything needs to be fluidly animated because that tends to be what gets most production teams in trouble. So,
And then it's like not as funded, and it's ugh, yeah. We just need to normalize, like, just make the thing, like, just get your ideas out there, because that's better than like the alternate. You don't need high budget animation to be entertaining.
it's just like she said, like, just be passionate and love what you want to make. Don't just think you got to do super amazing animation. Like, some of the pilots Mike and I have talked about in the past did not have super high polished animation to them, but they still were very charming in their own regards and such. It's like, it's okay to use motion tweens or to use rigs and puppets and such. Like,
No, I mean rigged animation can be gorgeous. I feel like the mentality is like everyone's like, ugh, like rigs. I'm like, no, this isn't Flash. Like these are like highly articulated models. Like just get away with that shit. Just shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
it's like people complaining about dubs still in anime. It's like,
Oh my-
we're not back in like Central Park Media time periods, y'all. Shut up. That was fun to see on a big screen and like talking with Kiana and the others. It was just super fun, lovely people. Can't wait to talk to them in the future if I can for interview purposes for art and just animation and such. The two films that closed out the festival, I mean, I'll say this. I did not go to the K-pop Demon Hunters panel. It was playing at the same time as Little Amelie. But from what I heard, there is an art book coming out for K-pop Demon Hunters. So
Yes. Micah, one of my writer cohorts, was at the panel and he said, guys, it's happening.
oh yeah, I think I saw that tweet also. So yeah, I went to see Little Amelie, which was one of the major award winners at the Annecy Film Festival and is also one of the most highly acclaimed animated films of the year about a young Belgian girl who grows up in Japan from ages 1 to 3. I have to say, every time I go to the festival, I tend to cry at least once during one movie at the festival. And a lot of the times, it had to do with a movie about a dog. It's very consistently that a lot of the times. Robot Dreams, Tatina, Rona's Fantastic Tale, cried every single time. Like on those. Though last year was broken up with Memoir of a Snail, where I was just like, I'm going to cry at the end. But Little Amelie, man, touching movie. It's a very human movie about living through the world through a kid's perspective. And it is funny because it's like, yeah, for about 2 or so years as a baby, you're not going to do much. And then all of a sudden you're walking around, you're screaming, and then you're talking and such. It's funny because from Amelie's perspective, she sees herself as God. It's like everyone dotes on me and loves me and supports me, and they do whatever I say until I don't have that power apparently anymore. I lost my powers of godliness. And then you become like, independent. And there's this very sweet moment where even though she's a Belgian citizen, she sees herself as Japanese, not in a weird, like
Not in
I'm
a
not,
weeb way, like
yeah,
as that someone who lives in Japan, who is a citizen of Japan, not someone who wants to cosplay racism.
exactly. And she, like as a kid, struggles to bond with her family. I mean, like she gets along with her family fine, but her caretaker is the person she cares with, like she bonds with the strongest. Animation is so fucking cool, man. Like this movie makes me love movies. It's one of those movies that makes you love animation even more than like normal. Like this brings you to a higher plane of existence of watching, of experiencing the art form. There was a short that played in front of it because Little Amelie, being this emotional powerhouse, is only 72 minutes, which is so amazing. Like so many times, like either on streaming movies or just the American film system in general, like we gotta have 2 hours. And it's like, no, you don't. Because then you get that feeling of like, oh god, these movies are plodding along and they're too long, they're paced badly. And Little Amelie is this emotionally gripping, happy, sad, funny, touching, romantic movie. And it's like slightly over an hour long.
That's impressive.
They
I
do
mean,
that. I don't know how they make that work, but they do that so well in France.
we used to do it well here, but then we just stopped.
Like Little Amelie jumped into being my favorite movie of the year so far. It's it's funny. By the end of this whole festival, I had about 6 movies that were all ranked how I would have ranked them, but they could also all be like number one. They all tie for number one and such because they were just all that good. And that's saying something because we were just gushing our heads off about 100 meters recently. So for a movie to beat that, that's saying something.
Yeah.
It also
Shit.
helps that the directors of this movie also worked on the animation department for Long Way North and Calamity.
Yeah, those
which
movies are so good.
Yeah, they both worked on The Little Prince.
Oh, no
The
shit.
the one that Paramount tried to bury.
Yeah, and Netflix is like, don't worry, guys, we got you covered.
Oh god, Paramount. Like
Ooh.
Sony saw them and were like, "Oh, let's just dump our movies onto Netflix." And it's like, "Oh god." So, like to me, I would not be shocked if I wake up tomorrow and Little Amelie won the main prize alongside Arco and such. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up like as the same as Annecy and such. And by the way, for when Little Amelie is released in November, they are playing the new Cartoon Saloon short in front of it at theatrical screenings. So
Nice.
we will try to get to watch that too. So I didn't get to see it because it was stuck in the shorts panels, like and such. Like they'll have like student shorts and then they'll have like professionally made shorts. And it was in there along with I think his name was Aaron Blaise, the Disney animator and such.
Yeah.
Oh,
His new Polar Bear animated short was at the festival also. I saw him. I did not get to talk to him, but I would have just said hi, can't wait to see your short and such. So God, I could go on about Amelie, but I gotta wrap this up because I am at the very last movie, and I am so freaking excited to talk about this movie because I got to see and do something that basically no other animation YouTuber is ever going to actually do or care about doing. I saw the 3 highest grossing Chinese animated films of the year this year. And even though I could be like on a high horse being like, look on me, you synthetic wankers. I am a better animation fan than you because I actually go out of my way to watch these movies. No. If I got a screener for Nobody, I would show you two right now. So Nobody was this Chinese 2D animated film that came out that like really was a nobody. Everyone was like, huh, this is interesting. Like it was a literal nobody of a movie that then became the highest grossing 2D animated film of all time in China. Like, and that's saying something, especially in a year where we've had Neza 2 and The Legend of Hei 2, like reaching stupid amount of money numbers. Like, so Nobody, and no, not the Bob Odenkirk action movie. Like, I know a lot of people like to joke about that, but I want to cut that out. Nobody is about, like, it takes place in the, I don't want to say cinematic universe, but it takes place in the Journey to the West universe. And it's about these 4 demons who decide to, like, who are tired of the living situations that they are in and decide to travel the land pretending to be Monkey King and the monk's compatriots. You know, the Journey to the West team. It's an action comedy movie. It is mostly a comedy. It is very heavily inspired by, or what seems like it's heavily inspired by, like very old school Hollywood comedies, like Groucho Marx style, like dialogue and character dynamics.
Oh yeah.
Like that era of comedy. And it's great because they're obviously pulling off a grift, a scam. They're not bad people. They're just like wanting to get ahead in life after life has put them down in some way, shape, or form. And they're not very good or very convincing as, you know, the Monkey King and, well, you know, Sung Wukong and his party. But luckily, everyone, including the main villain group of the movie, are varying levels of stupid to fall for it. And there are so many different kind of jokes in this movie that are like, it's like Chow in a lot of ways. There's dialogue jokes, visual gags, physical gags, animation gags. It is the funniest movie I've seen alongside Chow in animation this year that wasn't a Looney Tunes movie. Like The Day the Earth Blew Up and such. Like, I think even Chow and Nobody, like, trump The Day the Earth Blew Up, Looney Tunes movie, in terms of just the number of jokes and gags. And, like, there's this reoccurring gag where the main characters end up in, like, village after village, and they're like, huh, you don't look like what the storyteller says you look like. And then they're like, of course, like, the village elder is just like, that's because these guys are the real deal. You, storyteller, you just suck at your job. And there's even this great scene where we meet the main character's mom and such. And after he tells her what they're doing, her first thing, instead of being like worried or like about their livelihoods or anything about like a con, like a what's like a Bob Newhart and what's his name? The guy who was like the mailman in Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Fred Astaire?
Yeah, Fred Astaire. Like comedy, stuff like that. But what the mom does is run out of her cave to immediately yell to the neighboring demons, like, my son's awesome. Y'all's kids suck shit. And like, y'all's kids are shit compared to mine. And the main character's like, no, mom, we want to get back in the cave. Just, or like, there's this, because I don't know when we're going to see this. I hope more people see this because it's so freaking good. But there's this one moment in the movie, like while they're with the mom and such, but the dad gets a little drunk on the wine and tells the weasel of the group, he's like, I'm going to tell you this magic power spell that I haven't told anyone. So you're going to be the only one who knows how to do this one special move. Only to find out later on that the entire group of the main characters learned the same spell. And they're like, wait, how did you learn how to do this? Your dad drunkenly told me the other night, like when we were hanging out with him, that about this spell. And they're just like, oh God. like I said, everyone in this movie is a varying level of stupid. Like they're either too stupid to fall for the to know it's a con, or even when like the actual Monkey King and his party show up, they think that they're demons playing the con, even though they're the real deal, and then die horribly because it's, freaking Sun Wukong. And there's this great moment near in the third act where they meet like basically the main villain of the movie, where, and this is like an actual part of the Journey to the West storyline, where they meet like a false monk or a false Buddha character, but the crew are like, oh my God, we met Buddha. Even though, again, Buddha's this obviously evil demon lord, along with these other demons pretending to be Buddha and monks and like the four guardians and such. But the our four main characters are like, oh God, we need to go outside for a second to discuss what we're going to do. And they're like, oh God, they're not buying that we're the Sun Wukong and company. But the bad guys are like, they're taking an awfully long time staying out there. Oh shit, did we fuck up? Like,
You know, this kind of reminds me of, just from the art style, The Big Bad Fox and Other Stories. Benjamin Renner aesthetic to it.
that's a lot of like the comedy. It's very Benjamin Renner, because one of the things that stood out about this, because China is making its own anime. To be clear, they've been doing an amazing job with it also. Apparently to the point that China is actually paying better than the actual anime industry in Japan. But don't quote me on that. I have to feel like I read that somewhere, but I don't remember where that came from.
I wouldn't be remotely surprised if it was true. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, China's economy is a lot better than Japan's.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing that stood out about Nobody is that it does have a very French animated art style, even though it has beautiful ink style backgrounds and environments. But the characters themselves look very French, and the dynamics feel very French. Like the frog and boar demon there's the super serious one. I hate to make this comparison because it's going to sound like, wow, out of all the references you could pull from, you pulled this one. Was the Ryan Reynolds and Paul Giamatti pairing in Turbo.
All right.
So like, it sounds weird, but it's very much the frog is Paul Giamatti's character, and the boar demon is the Ryan Reynolds and such. But it's very witty dialogue, and like the weasel character doesn't know how to like stop talking until he realizes, oh, if you're one of the disciples of this monk that's traveling with the Monkey King, you only have 2 lines. And that just emotionally destroys the weasel, because he's like a super talkative guy, like way too talkative for his own good. And there's this moment where they're resting early on, and Boar, the main character, is like, are you tired? And the weasel goes, no, I'm not. And he's like, no, are you tired of talking already? so, and like the ape is that playing around pretending to be Sun Wukong is so sweet. Like, it's like I say, it's like really funny and the action's amazing, but it also has like a super heartfelt message to it, and it has so much heart into it. I cried at the end of this one. And it's like really? Like, the movie that's made me laugh my butt off the whole time is now making me cry like a baby at the very end of the movie. And man, it's like, this is the power of animation and storytelling when you just let creatives tell a story. Just let creatives do their thing, companies. Like, yeah, sometimes you get a bad egg creative, and sometimes there's are creative misfires. But when you let people create the art, it's like, this is why I love animation as film. Instead of some vapid tweets about like animation as cinema, no, animation as film is the by far default definition I think of when I hear animation as cinema. This beautiful world of creative movies made by amazing people. And I just want everyone to see all these movies. And yet, only like a handful of movie focused influencers who actually took the job seriously and animation people are the only ones who are going to this festival. Like, yes, I did see a few YouTubers last year at Animation as Film, but they only showed up for the Looney Tunes movie, which I get it. I understand why a lot of animation YouTubers have to focus on popular pop culture stuff, but I just wish that, like, some of them would just be like, hey, you know what? That movie was really good. Let's see what else is playing at this festival. Just, it wouldn't kill y'all, man. Like, if you actually care about animation and not just pop culture focused animation, please. Just please.
The only other explanation I can think of for why animation as film didn't have or doesn't usually get a big turnout from like a lot of the big media people, at least this year, is because it's like the week before was New York Comic Con.
And I just don't care about Comic Con, y'all. Like, I'm interested to hear what happens, and I'm like,
Like here's the weird thing: as someone who has done New York Comic Con a few times, it's like not as press focused as you think it is. Like most of the big press stuff happens on Thursday, which isn't really like the main show stuff. It's never really been that for me anyway. I mean, it's just pretty much, a really big comic convention. It's nothing, like attendance wise, it's, similar, but like in terms of like in the past, how San Diego Comic Con back in the day would be like all this film stuff, it's not really like that.
it just makes me mad that, like, so many YouTubers who are like, hey, I also like animation. And it's like, okay, I hate to sound gatekeepy about this, but do you like only pop culture animation? Or do you actually go out of your way to check out other things? But
Actually, you know what? I would preface that with a different question. I would ask, have you been to an art museum recently? And have you been into like any like galleries? Like, what is your feelings about art? Like, I wouldn't even go into animation. I would just ask, how do you feel about art in general?
like, that's the thing. Like, I want to keep a lot of this talk around when we do our big takedown of animation fans, but it is just like, it is frustrating to not I feel like we're one of the few podcasters or creatives who give a shit about talking about animation that's not just pop culture adjacent stuff. Like, we want to talk about the world of it. I love stuff like Bob's Burgers and whatever's popular with the mainstream. I like that stuff too, but really, animation as film is where I thrive. It's where I live. It's where I feel the most at home in the world of animation, because I've said this before. I'd rather talk with animators and people who work in the industry and like people like you two, which I am so like freaking thankful to have like as co-hosts.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Like, because it's like, I think if I talked with like some of these other YouTubers and such, I would drive myself a little mad to be like, do you like anything else? Like, I'm sorry, like, oh god, it's like, I get it. This is traveling to LA is expensive, but I want to see these people who say, I don't know how to say this without dragging these like content creators that a
No,
few of them I actually do like. It's
no,
like,
I think it's okay to drag them, just, not in name, but
yeah,
it'll
no,
be
I'm not gonna
obvious.
name names, but it's like, oh, so you care about non-mainstream animated stuff from around the world, but only if you get to be like, what is this furry World War II propaganda stuff from Japan? What? And it's like, yeah, it's World War II propaganda stuff. You don't have to be like, what the hell is this all the time, and then not actually go and watch the really cool stuff from around the world, or that stuff like, or show that you're not really willing to interact with it on a level that you're not thinking it deserves or to respect it. Like, I'm sorry. I know Ralph Bakshi can be a weird animation person to get into, like with his movies and such. But if you're not willing to dive into what his intentions are with the vibe and like goal of the movie, and you just think it's like, oh, look at this weird 70s movie, it's like, piss off. Or it's like, oh, you like adult animation, but you don't talk about common side effects or talk about any of these other movies, and then the only time you've done it is an entirely separate video on your second channel, and then you've done nothing else since then because all you want to do is talk about popular adult animation that people already know about. Okay, fine. Fine. I like being in a world where I can talk about more than just pop culture slop. Sorry, I guess. So,
No, if anything, I feel like you're being too lenient. I mean, so much of it is slop, like, and I don't wanna come off as, like, I'm dissing people's work, but and, I don't wanna, be like, "Ugh, I hate that normie shit," but I'm more like, I grew up in museums and art galleries, like, my view of, like, art and animation is I just wanna experience everything because I feel like if you're able to comment or engage with a piece of art, to me, that is the meaning of life. That's what it means to be human because I get to feel things, I get to question things. I'm not just going on autopilot going, "Well, that was neat."
it's just, it's hard to find voices in animation that in the world of like animation online, like with YouTubers and creatives and such, that actually want to talk about things that aren't just mainstream. It's like, there are a lot of good mainstream stuff. Mike and I have talked plenty about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for more X-Men 97, but I gotta balance that out, or else I'm going to find myself being miserable when, like, if I take in too much pop culture stuff, and it's going to sound weird. It's like, really? This is like some kind of sickness you have? It's like, no. But if I take in too much popular mainstream stuff, then I'm just not going to feel great
Yeah,
until
it
I
feels
get my.
almost like a void, like because I know the exact feeling that you're talking about because, unfortunately, because I write, I notice stuff, and it just when you notice something isn't perfect or you get stuck in a certain formula, you just start to feel empty inside.
That's why you need like a healthy diet of even just animation. Like, yes, this is an animation focused podcast, but there's a reason why this network covers a little bit of everything.
It's like, that's why I love talking about stuff. Like, okay, cool. New South Park is hitting out of the park. Okay, fine, whatever. But did you see Carol in the End of the World? I think about that show at the very least once a week. And but enough about that. Like, I love animation as film. It's my favorite festival to go to. I wish more animation fans could attend it, and I wish animation YouTubers and creatives would actually put in the elbow grease like work to come down and partake in it too. Because I feel like if people sat through the festival like I do, they will love animation more as the art form and not just as a means of pop culture intake. So let's talk about tangentially, Mike, about the Oscar stuff. So ask away.
Okay, so I'll make this quick because right now we're still even like 2 months before the Academy rolls out their shortlist, which usually has about like 25 to 30 different titles that were released in the given year. But usually around this time, Cameron and I agree animation as film is like a good starting point to have this conversation. So, this is just your rough draft. What do you think are the 5 movies that will be nominated for Best Animated Feature?
So, by the way, there was a preview screening like of stuff from Zootopia 2. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. I am tired. I've been traveling all day, so unless Zootopia 2 turns out to be an amazing movie, and I hope it is. I'm always like I might not like Disney as a whole as a company, but I'm always rooting for its creatives to be able to deliver a good movie or show and what have you. I don't think I mean, at best, if Disney wants to get some kind of Best Animated Feature award, they are going to have to put into Zootopia 2. But unless it becomes like this amazing world changing movie like the first one was, where it just came out at the like right place at the right time, even at like warts and all now about like how people look back on it, I don't think Disney has a horse in this race. I think with the bad vibes and like new reception that they got about the whole failure of Elio, Zootopia 2 has to be amazing. And I just don't trust modern Disney executives letting the creatives handle a Zootopia 2 that is possibly, frankly, talking about immigration, especially with the fact that Disney and Pixar are wholly like, no, you can't make politically challenging or artfully challenging movies anymore. You got to make them pretty safe because we don't want DeSantis to yell at us again. So so my 5. I think if there was one US animated film coming out this year that's going to get in no matter what, it is going to be K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yep.
It is its award to lose, along with Best Original Song. If I had my way with the Best Animated Feature category and I just tossed everyone else's like votes into a furnace, like that one oblong joke where you find out that the suggestion box is actually the furnace at the company that the dad works at. It's like, yeah, man, your suggestions have been keeping this place warm and cozy for the past 10 years or whatever. But oh, God, that's what I would probably do. I would say that it's going to be K-pop Demon Hunters, Neza 2, Arco, Little Amelie are the character of Rain. And it's going to be kind of up in the air for the last one. I don't have a definitive one to put down. But if I had to choose, it's going to either be between Scarlet or if some company comes through, nobody. Because the struggle, and we've talked about this before, the struggle of what people want from the Academy Awards is, do you want it to be the best movies of the year, or do you want it to be the most important movies of the year? And you can't have best because that's subjective, and having everyone pick their favorite, like what they choose as the best animated movie of the year, is going to be up in the air. but it's probably going to be K-pop Demon Hunters because it's the only like really widely acclaimed animated film from the US. And of course it's like the most important movie of the year next to Neza 2. So in animation. So
Like, K-pop Demon Hunters has just kind of grown outside of just being an animated movie.
Yeah,
exactly. So
like a couple things. One, it's coming back to theaters Halloween weekend, but also K-pop Demon Hunters has broken containment in multiple ways, but the one that's not as surprising, but still a little bit surprising. On the first week of Dancing with the Stars, one of the contestants played Golden for their first number. When it's reaching that wide of an audience, also when you hear Golden on the radio, like in the wild, that's when you know you've got a hit.
I think it's going to be more of a four-way competition between Little Amelie, Nezatu, Arco, and K-pop Demon Hunters. Because depending on the reception to Scarlet, Sony Pictures Classics might not campaign as hard as they probably were going to because of the reception. Because it's gotten pretty good reviews, but it's not as strong as you think it would have been for a Mamoru Hosoda movie, which usually are all universally acclaimed and beloved movies. And it's not a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think people who say it's a bad movie don't know what bad movies are. And it, I
Yeah,
mean,
they,
and
they
it,
could talk to me.
like if you like to be clear, and if you do not like it for legit reasons, perfectly fine. But most of the time, when I hear people talk about like not liking a movie animation as film, I still get a few people who come off like they don't know what they're talking about. So, but I just think it's going to be those four. I mean, and it's just going to be up in the air about what the fifth one is going to be, because I don't think any other Netflix film is going to get a push as hard as K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh yeah, no.
Like that dream movie.
Oh,
I don't think
in
is
your dreams?
yeah, is not going to move the needle and such.
I mean, realistically, it's probably gonna be Zootopia. That'll be like the one like, obligatory. I mean, because essentially, like realistically, that's like the throwaway pick. That's the hey, thanks for playing a nomination.
It's like the part. I mean, I know participation trophy has a negative connotation because a bunch of losers made it in a connotation, like a symbol of whatever, because they're mad that nobody likes them. If Disney's going to get in, it's going to be Zootopia 2. But I don't trust the Disney of now pull off what they would probably have done back in the 2010s. So
Yeah, which I think is fair, but if we're talking about the Academy, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, this Disney one got decent reviews. Let's just fucking throw it in."
Lest we forget, Disney has not won this award since Encanto, which was a 2021 film.
that year sucked, man. Like, I mean, I love the year. I mean, a lot of great movies came out during 2021, but Disney did not need 3 of the 5 spots.
No, it just I mean,
People
that
were,
just proves, like, how bad, like, the pandemic just, like, fucked, like, production cycles. Like, it was just such a desert. Like, you know what's horrible? Not just in animation, but in general? I can hardly remember anything that came out in 2021.
For all I know, that year didn't happen.
I know exactly. It was like the recovery year, and then 2022 was like, okay, we're back up and running somewhat. So it's like you could have replaced Raya in The Last Dragon with Belle. You could have
Yeah, there you go.
replaced. You could have, like, at the very least, Raya and The Last Dragon could have been taken out for something better. So, and that's saying something because, like I said, there were good movies in 2021. So it's just, I don't think I want to see Disney coming into the awards this year. I don't think they deserve it. With the whole thing with Elio, and I tried to watch Elio, and again, I was just like, oh god, I am just not interested in it again. So it's sad. Like, I don't want to tell a bunch of artists, no, you don't deserve to be nominated for an award because your project got fucked over by a bunch of executives. So you don't deserve award season stuff. And it's like, I don't see it happening. I'm sorry. like,
it's just a really shitty situation.
Yeah.
like seriously, you're telling me in 2021 Disney needed all 3 spots of the 5, and yet you couldn't put in like the Summit of the Gods or
Like
Calamity?
literally just could have put in like one random like this French film that no one heard of and it would have been better.
I'm glad for the Mitchells versus the Machines, and I'm understandably happy for Flea. But you had like Joseph, you had SEAL Team, you had the Bears' famous invasion of Sicily,
Oh man.
Calamity, words bubble up like soda pop, Josie the Tiger and the Fish. There was so much better stuff you could have done. like I would have even taken Vivo getting in there. Though I would have preferred Wish Dragon, but that's just me.
Yes.
So that's really what I have to say. I think it's going to be K-pop Demon Hunters, Arco, Little Amelie, and Neza 2. With maybe Zootopia or Scarlet getting in for the 5th spots.
I'm pretty much 4 to 5, just like you are. If Zootopia 2 is amazing, then it's getting in.
And to be
If it-
clear, I want it to be amazing.
Oh yeah, no, same.
I mean, because realistically, Disney could really use a W right now because, oh boy, this has not been a good year for them.
Ooh. I don't want to say this is as bad as 2023, but kind of 2023 for them again.
You know, I would argue that it's actually worse than 2023, to be honest.
At least 2023 had Elemental, and that movie blew up among online social media circles because of so much fan art. Oh my god. But here, nobody cares about Elio. I haven't heard that much hype about Zootopia 2. Even though there are some things about Zootopia 2 that I really am excited about seeing. They got Danny Trejo in there. I want to see Danny Trejo in more stuff, man. That's not direct to video.
Oh, and speaking of Dancing with the Stars, just one more mention. Steve Irwin's son, Robert Irwin, voices a character in Zootopia 2. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I mean, that's really it. So this episode's gone long enough, and I know it's not going to sound that like that because I'm going to edit the hell out of this, but still. But yeah, that was Animation is Film for me, and those are my predictions for Best Animated Feature Oscars. So
Next time, we will be talking about Chainsaw Man movie, Reza Arc, and Lesbian Space Princess.
Hell
like,
yeah!
I wanted to say like lesbians in space.
You know what? I would actually argue something better. Chainsaw Man and Lesbian Space Princess are all the genders.
Yes. Before we get out of here, Bree, where can everyone find you online?
Well, that's a debatable question, but if you want to find me, you can find me at crazylemur.bsky.social. I am also on Instagram at Lemur's Rule 1, where I have puppy content, cooking, art, and just overall shenanigans.
And Cameron?
You can find me on Blue Sky and I guess on X. At Cam's Eye View, I have my own website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows from around the world called The Other Side of Animation. I will be posting my Animation is Film reviews there during this week. And I am a contributor to Media Magpies, a new one-stop shop for film and art, pop culture media, discussion, and discourse. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me at various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. You need to escape, so do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later.